When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
Now, the Big Five on the Elias Mecco Show. Brought to you by investment advisor Richard Lapointe of CIBC Wood Gundy. Richard Lapointe can always be reached at 847-6324.
Shout out time. Trudie, you excited for the shout outs?
Always.
Shout out time. Shout out to this beat, by the way. DJ Shadow. So good. Yeah, that's it, Jay. Turn that up. Turn that up. Shout out DJ Shadow. Shout out to Lachine. I spent 10 years in Lachine. I loved Lachine. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful part of this city. And a special shout out to Fort Roland. That was the street that I was on for 10 years. At the end of that street, a curling club. True story. Shout out to the people in charge of going through voicemails at businesses that opened today. If you work at a dealer in the garage, if you work for a mechanic and you're in charge of going through the voicemails, shout out to you as you get through those hundreds of messages. It's 2020. Don't leave voicemail, everybody. Text me. Send me an email. Shout out to seniors. Shout out to all of our seniors who are going through this. Some of them who are in residences. Some of them who have only brief, fleeting contact with their family members. We're thinking about you, especially this week. A shout out to Otterburn Park. And I'll be honest, I'm at the point where I'm just opening up Google Maps and finding the names I really like. Otterburn Park. Great name. A shout out to Dr. Nadine Larente, her 3 kids, and her husband. On the Big Five yesterday, I mentioned this story of a doctor that shows up at the Herron residence on March 29th. But I didn't mention her name. So I'm going to do it again. A shout out to Dr. Nadine Larente, her 3 kids and her husband. When they show up on March 29th to Herron residence and they see the situation, Nadine doesn't say, okay, I'll call the authority, I'm going home. She calls her kids. She calls her family, says, get over here, we need to feed these people. I mean, it's an act of heroism. I don't think we've seen another act like this during this crisis in this city. I mean, there's been plenty, but this is at the top of the list for me. Shout out Dr. Nadine Larente. And because I needed to find a saint for today, shout out Saint Anne des Lacs. Another beautiful name. Saint Anne des Lacs.
Nice
Who wouldn't want to be in Saint Anne des Lacs? It's the Big Five, everybody. And a good morning to you, wherever you are. Probably in your home, in your kitchen, enjoying a coffee. And we got to say hi to who's on the Big Five today. Trudie Mason, of course, you heard her there before. Hi, Trudie.
Good morning.
And joining us on the line, it's Dave Kaufman. Hi, Dave.
Good morning, Elias. Good morning, Trudie.
Dave, give me the schedule here for you. Are you on Friday night again?
I am. This seems to have become a regular thing.
Excellent.
Friday nights from midnight to 4 a.m. The late shift. If you're having trouble sleeping, like so many of us, join me. We're gonna have another great show this week.
Awesome, Dave. All right, guys, let's talk about. I saw this, and part of me is like, I don't believe it, and then the other part of me is like, maybe I completely believe it. The president of the group that owns the CHSLD Herron, Samir Chowieri, I hope I'm saying that right, has been convicted. He's got this criminal past here. He's been convicted of conspiracies to import drugs and fraud, and it was a cheese fraud of all things. Yeah, cheese. It involved cheese. That was what the fraud involved. He's been suspected of money laundering. He's been fined for circumventing tax rules and tax laws. Guys, I have to ask you, and some people were sending me notes, and I'd heard this a couple times, like, this residence, the Herron residence, some people were spending like $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. How did it happen at a place like this, at a private residence? And then I hear this past, and I say, my goodness, how did anyone with this kind of criminal past get anywhere near a senior's residence. I don't get it. Dave, do you get it?
I mean, I guess I do, because in our society, we believe in redemption, and we believe that if you are convicted of a crime and you serve your time and you're released, that you're allowed back into society.
You are allowed back into society, but are you allowed to just do anything you want? If when you're convicted for fraud schemes, do you get to run businesses that relate to the healthcare system and taking care of seniors?
You see, so I guess I have to look into the cheese fraud that happened and what exactly happened. I know there was also a hash importing crime, and this was all before I was born.
But it continued. So I get, like, there's a lot of stuff that happened. It happened in the 70s. It happened in the 80s. It happened in the 90s. There's stuff that the RCMP looked into with search warrants, and 2002 was the tax breaches. So I mean, it's a history here.
I don't disagree with you. It is a history here, and it kind of fits part and parcel with how we treat our seniors. And this is a recurring theme frankly, for years, if we look into it. And I'm trying to remember what year it was that the seniors' residence caught fire near Quebec City. And that to me showed that we just don't give a damn. And frankly, if you've ever spent any time in a seniors' residence, public or privately run, you know that it's not up to snuff. It's not the way that I would want to be treated if I was a senior and put into a home. So, look, we need to look into this more. But the idea of going after someone for a crime they committed 40 years ago, I have trouble with that.
Yeah, I would tend to agree that if we were to eliminate all the crooks from owning businesses, a lot of
not all businesses. I'm not talking about all businesses. I'm talking about owning seniors' homes. I mean, that's a big difference here.
Except basically a seniors' home, a privately run seniors' home, is an apartment building with services. So then you can extend. Oh well, if you're a crook, you shouldn't convicted criminal shouldn't own an apartment building. Where do you draw the line? Apparently the people who are in direct service to the residents cannot have a criminal background, and I understand that because there are vulnerable people there that could be defrauded and fooled and taken advantage of. I don't think this guy was in this place changing adult diapers. I think he's an investor, he's a business guy, and I agree that you do your time and you're supposed to be allowed to move on. He's built this business. All of that money laundering was alleged. It was never proven in court. No charges were brought. Yep. So
I said that.
Yeah.
And I also said all the stuff that he was convicted of.
Yeah. So he has a tax offense and he has 2 criminal convictions dating from the 80s. So am I outraged about this? No, not really. I think that, what it comes down to, and I think this is true for anyone who has a relative in a senior's home, public or private, is buyer beware. And you have to do your due diligence and you have to investigate. And I think that absolutely is the key if you want to ensure that your relatives are getting good care.
I just think it is ridiculous that there is not, for owning a senior's residence, not talking about a regular old apartment building, for owning a senior's residence, there isn't some type of scrutiny. There has to be some type of scrutiny. And you know what? Listen, of course, there are 3 investigations into the Herron, one of them criminal, that are going to be ongoing here, and we'll see how that shakes out. But don't tell me, how depressing is it for people, right? Going on social media right now, if they're seeing like, oh, look at this person, they have family, they get to see their family. I haven't seen my family for 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It's just a bad look. It's a bad look.
He's the prime minister.
Exactly, makes it worse.
You see, I don't know. I guess, and this is where I go back to, I think you could probably also equally debate both sides of this, Elias. Like, I don't think it's as black and white as you're making it sound right now. And I think that when they tell me not to go up to...
I just said it's a shade of gray.
So when they tell me to not go to a chalet up north for the weekend, it's because if I run out of tomatoes, I'm going to have to run to the Dep or the grocery store to get it. I don't think that's the case with the Prime Minister going to Harrington Lake. I think that if the Prime Minister or somebody in the family were to, God forbid, get sick at Harrington Lake, they could get the 26 kilometers back to Ottawa. It's not far. It's not driving 6 hours to your chalet in the middle of nowhere. I think that there needs to be some, like Trudie said, there needs to be some room for the fact that he has been at our beck and call. He has been in our living rooms every single day at 11:15, bringing comfort and usually not dodging too many questions, but bringing comfort to Canadians every single day.
Listen,
with some dodging.
Dave,
with
yeah,
some dodging.
exactly. So Dave, listen, I'll say this. I've said it on the show repeatedly. I am so impressed by the federal government and the provincial government, how they've handled things. That's not the issue here. Yes, Dave, thank you. Thanks for the recovery there, because he dodges a lot of questions. This guy recognizes everything and acknowledges nothing. So, I get that. I'm just saying here, he had a chance to once again show that leadership, and he failed here. It's not the end of the world. You start off, Dave, with a very good point. Look what makes a scandal here versus what makes a scandal in the U.S. I'm so happy that this is our scandal.
Lucky. We're so lucky.
It's just not the best look. That's all.
It's
not the best look.
It's not the best.
Okay.
It's not the best. And if you want to compare it just to what Andrew Scheer getting on an airplane with his whole family.
I know.
I mean, this
is not the best look.
It's not the best look.
To me,
if only there was another party that we could lean on in this country for leadership, eh?
But and with that, there was a chance for Andrew Scheer to say, I got to sacrifice too. I'm not going to see my family while I'm in Ottawa. They stay in Saskatchewan. I go to Ottawa. I think that was another mistake as well. Everyone's got to sacrifice here, especially the leaders. Okay, guys, I want to move this on, and I teased this before, and I think it's a great story. A Florida judge has requested that lawyers get dressed for their Zoom hearings and video conferences. He says that too often attorneys appear to still be in bed or lounging around since they're working from home. You're working from home. You're at your house. Shouldn't you be allowed to show up for these hearings wearing whatever you want? It's different times, or does the judge have a point? Even if it's over the internet via video chat, this is still a court of law. Dress up, you slob. Who's right here? Trudie, I'll start with you.
Yeah, the judge is right. Honestly, and this has even outside the courtroom, this has become an issue for these workplace video conferences where some people have inadvertently flashed their colleagues because they're lying naked in bed and think they've shut the camera off and get up to get a coffee. Honestly, people, the least you can do is get dressed. And if you're a lawyer and you're appearing before the judge, you have to observe the decorum of the courtroom. That shows respect, not for the individual sitting in the chair. You're showing respect for the bench. So yeah, get dressed, get off the beach.
Dave.
I'm sorry, you'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel. Famous Homer Simpson line.
That's the best part for doing radio remotely. Now, it doesn't matter.
No, but I do keep forcing myself to put on jeans to do the 4-hour overnight show, just for a sense of normalcy. But there definitely, look, there have been a lot more sweatpants being worn. I think sweatpants sales are up 400% right now over last year. And if I was doing a Zoom meeting, if we had a staff meeting, of course I'd get dressed. Of course we would want to maintain an aura of being professional. The idea that a lawyer who's billing out hundreds and hundreds of dollars an hour is doing it in their skivvies seems a little bit silly to me. But I can only imagine that they would be, if they were in an actual court, in a court hearing, it'd be enough for the judge to say you're in contempt.
Guys, you happy that some things have opened up today? I mentioned the mechanics, the garden centers. Do you think this is just a reasonable way to open up a small sector and things that people need, like getting a garden in? If I'm going to be home all summer, I'd like to maybe plant some things. You think this is a good way to loosen things up, or a little too early, Trudie?
I think that they're going to have to proceed carefully. I think especially at the garden centers, they're going to have to be very careful about distancing. I think it's easier at garages where they want you to make an appointment, so there shouldn't be a big crowd. But, it's starting to come down to essentials. And there are workers who need to get around in their vehicles who were having trouble getting garage appointments because the garages weren't even opening for essential workers. So, yeah, I think they're we need that.
Dave, last word to you.
Garages, yes. I think the garden centers should be by delivery only. I think it should be sites. They should set up websites and be able to order online and have it delivered to your door. But the idea of going there, look, aesthetically, if we're all we're doing for exercise is walking around our neighborhoods, it'll be nice to see people's gardens. But I don't think we should be crowding into gardening centers. All
right, we leave it there. Dave, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be listening to you on Friday night, midnight to 4. Trudie Mason, thank you so much.